Hello there, friends and sane persons, and welcome to another episode of Wednesday Whimsy. My name is Kyle, and Wednesday Whimsy is a short show that I do every Wednesday evening where I talk about a board game, a top 10, a board game topic, something that I happen to be thinking about, usually board game related. And today it is. Now, normally on Wednesday Whimsy, if I'm talking about a game, I'm usually talking about something brand spanking new, something that I just got that I just have to talk about because I'm so excited. And today is not one of those days, which you probably could have guessed when I started that sentence. Otherwise, why would I have been saying it? Today, I'm going to be talking about a game that came out in 2018, and I think I first played it in 2020. So it's been around for a few years now. There are I think there's a second edition, although all it really did was, some minor cleanups. And that game is a highly thematic game called Obsession. So the reason I'm going to tell you about my favorite obsession is that I on the Dice Tower cruise a few months ago, well, a month ago, I got it out. I mean, my sister was there, and she likes those sort of period dramas, and I thought this might be a good show or a good game for her to play. And so we got it out and played it. Now I had to do some relearning because it had been a little while, and just I got it into my head again. And I just can't stop thinking about it. And then I discovered, I think I knew it before, but I rediscovered that it's available on Board Game Arena online to play. And so I've been playing it a lot there, and I've been wanting to get the physical copy out again, and I just really have been rediscovering this delightful, delightful game. So I figured I would talk about it on this week's Wednesday Whimsy. So let's start out by talking about what the game is about. Well, in this game, you represent some sort of a Victorian era noble house that's kind of fallen, into fallen on hard times. You don't have much money. Your estate's fallen into disrepair, much like the beginning of many shows that you might see on Netflix or PBS, for that matter. And so you're this Victorian house, and you have a couple of family members, and your goal is to court is to gain a lot of favor, gain a lot of money, improve your estate, and ultimately attract the attention of the most eligible bachelor and bachelorette in town, the Fairchild brother and sister pair. And so that's your goal, and obviously your real goal is to get the most points. But it's all about sort of taking actions that improve your estate and get you the resources and things that you need to do more things so that you can ultimately eventually have as many points as possible. Now, I say it like that, but it's actually a very theme forward game. And in fact, much of the joy, which I'll talk about in a moment, comes from sort of looking at these characters and saying, aha, we're doing this activity with these people. And, each card has some sort of silly backstory on it. Not a silly backstory, not a tongue-in-cheek backstory, but, it has some backstory. And you're trying to sort of, I don't know, not necessarily role play. Well, like, for example, I have this card here. This is the Agnes Dowager Countess Reed. In 1842, a fire destroyed Reed Manor, taking the lives of the respected countess's husband and child. Well, that's not a happy story, but you can sort of talk about why you're getting reputation for interacting with her based upon that story. It's almost like a role-playing game with a Euro game combined. Let's talk about how it works. So the sort of core mechanism of obsession is going to be these. You're going to play the there's the extended version that's 20 rounds, and then there's a shorter version that is fewer rounds. I'm wondering how many. 15 rounds. There we go. Let me see if I can pull it up here. And your goal here is, as I mentioned, it's going to be to try and get the most points. But what you're going to be doing every turn is you're going to look at your estate, and there'll be a variety of things you can do, a variety of features on your estate. Here we'll look at someone's estate. So, for example, on this estate here, oh, well, there we are, super zoomed in. Let's see if we can't find an activity. So each round you're either going to pass or you're going to host an activity. For example, you might host afternoon tea in the main gazebo. And you'll see that in order to host this activity, you need one footman, and you're going to need any two gentry, doesn't matter who they are. Some other activities might require, a greater number of gentry or two gentlemen, which is going to be two male people, M-A-L-E, not M-A-I-L. And so it's going to be some variety of combinations. And so you're going to select the activity. You're going to select the guests that you're going to be inviting. And those guests are going to be these cards that you have in your hand. Let's see if I can find one. Well, of course, I won't be able to now. But for example, these are some guests that you could invite to. These are all gentry. These are all family members. But you'll see that the guests might require a certain type of service. Now, these don't require any, but some of the ones you'll get later in the game will. They might require you to have, like these ones up here, they require you to have either a maid servant or a manservant or a lady's maid, or I forget what they're called. But various servants that you'll have to send. And so you're going to select the guests you're going to invite. You're going to provide the required service. There's some others that can give you certain bonuses. And then after successfully completing the activity, you're going to get whatever favors that guest provides you. Like this lady here, the Miss Fairchild, she's going to give you 2 reputation and a prestige guest. And you'll see that they give you a variety of other things. You're going to take those favors. You're then going to put your servants at the back of, they're going to go to your expended service, the ones that you used. And any cards, any guests that you invited are going to go to a discard pile. Later on in the game, instead of hosting an activity, you're going to be able to pass. And when you pass, you're going to move all your servants. Your servants are going to advance naturally, but you're going to kind of move everybody up to the front ready area. And you'll also pick up all the cards that you have and put them back in your hand so you can start using them again. And it becomes an interesting, it's not really a deck building game, although you are building up your deck. It's more of a hand management, or you want to make sure that you always, those pass actions can be expensive, because if you only have 20 action rounds in the game, well, if you have to waste one of them passing, that can be difficult. So, one thing you want to do is make sure you have a constant stream of servants and staff. However, that can be difficult. It can feel like a Ponzi scheme at some point, because you're going to find yourself running out of stuff. And so part of the game is knowing when to sort of take that reset action and when to kind of keep going. And ultimately, you're going to buy new pieces for your estate. There's this art market here where you can buy more tiles and sort of improve these different areas, and they're going to give you better and better rewards. Now, on the subject of the tiles in your estate, you'll see that there's sort of this number right here. Like this is a level 4 building, and there's also similar numbers on the cards that you have. And you have this concept of your reputation, and as you move around this track, it's going to tick up, and as you move backwards, it'll tick back down. And you need to have a high enough reputation to be able to attract more higher quality guests or to perform more complicated activities. So you're also working on that, and you're working on getting money, because everything costs money, and buying new buildings costs money. And some of these people will give you money, and some of them are kind of funny. Like you've got the American heiress who hurts your reputation. She's worth negative points, but she gives you a lot of money, or something, some sort of foreign relative or someone disreputable. There are, cads and paupers and things like that are negative cards, but they might give you a bonus that you really need. So you might tolerate them for that. Ultimately, you're going to keep going until the end of the game, and you'll score. Each round, there's going to be a courtship thing, a card that flips up, and that's the thing that the Fairchild family really care about that round. That's what's in mode that round of the game, and it's usually going to be a type of building. So maybe they're into blue buildings, and so at the end of the round, whoever has the most points from blue at the end of every couple of rounds, there's these green spots on the map. whoever has the most of certain categories is going to get to take one of those Fairchild cards and a bonus, one of these small bonus cards as well. And that is a card they can then use for until the next courtship phase, and then it goes back. So, and they're usually, they're pretty good cards, so you'll want them. And that's kind of how it works. You're going to have your own little goals as well. There's objectives, and there's a somewhat complicated way of, like, you start with some, and then you discard one every courtship phase, and then you'll draw some new ones. And so you're gradually kind of whittling them down to something that you can do, hopefully, and those will be worth some bonus points at the end. At the end of the game, you get points for your leftover money, points for your servants. You get a lot of points from your buildings, and as you use the buildings, you're going to flip them over, and they usually have a better, they have more points on the other side, and sometimes a better, and sometimes a worse benefit from using it multiple times. You'll get points from your goals, points from all of the cards that you've gathered, and whoever has the most points will win the game. So that's a high-level overview of how it works. So what makes the game special? Well, at its core, there's not really anything unique about this game. There's other games where you're gathering cards. There's other games where you play, and then have to use an action to reset. There's other games where you're improving things as the game goes by. There's other games where you're working toward goals, shared goals and private goals. And this game is not unique in any of those aspects. What this game does have, though, is a delightful level of theme. If you play this game with, people who have souls, there's going to be some laughter and kind of role playing, and you'll describe the events you're having. Like, here I have this card here. Well, we invited Miss Agnes Hapstead, the pauper. She's a spinster. She's had a tragic life, but she's beloved for her lively mind. So, she's a precocious lady, and we tolerate her. Now, she's expensive. We have to pay for her. But, she can help us get some of these activities done. It's always sort of something like that. And as you kind of make these arrangements, there's the secret rendezvous. And so you're putting a man and a woman together and, leaving them alone to see what's going to happen. It's usually some reputation and points, some money. But there's just this level of role playing that the game naturally encourages. You don't have to do it, right? It's not required. It's not a role-playing game, but it's just so natural. The cards have that flavor text, and it's just the right amount. And it's going to encourage you to kind of get in the mindset of one of these one of these period dramas, your Downton Abbey or whatever it might be, Bridgerton, whatever one you like. You're going to want to jump into there and play around in that world. The graphic design is pretty good on this game. All the symbols are very clear. I show you this card here, and you know immediately what it does. It's a level 1 guest here. It's going to be worth, no points, and you'll see that you have to pay money when you use it. You get this lion when you use it. That's the reputation. It's just a very clean, clear look. I like these sort of old-timey photographs. Everything's very clean and functional about the game. So, and then it's just surprisingly fun. It's, win or lose. You can't take the game too seriously, but there is a game here, and it's just really a very satisfying game. It can be a very addicting game as you just sort of want to jump in and try it again. There are these different noble houses, and they all have a small starting bonus that sets them apart. One of them has an extra servant. One of them has some extra money. One of them has an extra building on their estate. Whatever it is, but try different combinations. There's a variety of objectives. It's just a really delightful game. There's also a good solo. The solo gets better in the expansion, I will say that. The original solo was pretty basic, but the solo game is enjoyable too. It gives you a target score you're trying to beat, and it's a pretty easy solo to run. Not a whole lot there. So good solo, fun game, good graphic design, an amazing theme. I mean, this game gets a huge boost because it's so thematic and so fun to play. So where's the but? I mentioned that the game has good graphic design. You'll notice I didn't say that the game looks gorgeous. And honestly, I don't really think it does. I mean, the main component of the game are these tiles, and the tiles are bland beyond bland. Very functional, but it's just, I mean, you can see it's this is one, you can tell it goes in the kind of pink or whatever color that is row, and you can see all the information, but it doesn't look great. Some of them have a little bit of artwork on them, like this one actually has on the back. When you upgrade them to a monument, they get artwork. But other than that, it's actually kind of an ugly game, and I don't love that. Right? Another negative about the game, it does not have the best rule book. The designer has tried, but there's a lot of stuff that just isn't in there. You kind of have to go online and look at FAQs or forum posts. And it's kind of organized on this really random system where, it starts off with some concepts, then there's some gameplay, and then there's some more concepts. But there's not really an easy way for you to pick up this rule book and look up any one particular rule. You're going to have to scroll through all the pages. I know how to play the game now, but when I had to relearn it a few weeks ago, that was a thorn in my side. Also, there's a lot of promo stuff, and it has separate icons that just isn't really ever described anywhere. So rules, it gets a bit of a ding for that. Also, the game can be kind of random. And what I mean by that is you have a little bit of control over the guests you get, but you could draw a whole bunch of ones that are worth negative points. And that's not fun. But where it really feels random is in the objective cards. Like you might get this objective card here, and this is to have these 3 rooms in your estate at the end of the game. There are, I don't know, 50, 60, 70 different room tiles. I don't know how many there are even. But there's a huge stack of them. You put them in this big bag and just draw them out randomly. And it's possible that you might get the fenced paddock and the kennels, but the riding stables never, ever even show up. And so that means you're never going to score this objective. And that can feel less fun. If you get a whole bunch of objectives you can't score, and someone else gets a whole bunch of easy ones or gets one that they just happen to already have, that can grind on you a little bit. Now the game does keep letting you draw more at various points, and the theory is you're going to be whittling it down and picking the objectives you want. But let's just face it, it's possible you can get an objective or 2 or even 3 that you're never going to be able to score, or maybe that one tile finally comes up and then somebody else grabs it. That cannot feel great. There is, in the expansion, the upstairs downstairs, there's a servant that you can use as a one-time bonus to pick any tile and put it into play in the most expensive part, and that can help you a little bit, but that will help you get one tile and then it's done, no more. So it can feel a little bit random in that. It can be random in kind of a double layer of randomness, both which objectives you get and which tiles come out. The card drawing, I'm less concerned about because, again, you have one card that starts in your deck that can get rid of bad stuff, and you have other ways. There's a servant that can let you kind of draw 2 and pick one. And ultimately, even the bad cards end up being good. Now, there is a new expansion coming that might address some of these concerns. As far as I know, it'll let you deal with objectives and get rid of trashy ones. Or let you get rid of the negative cards in your deck. So some of those might be solved. It won't solve the artwork issue, but just be aware going into this that this isn't the game you're going to play for money. This is a random game, and you're looking to have a good experience. And as long as you have that, you win in my book. And if you can make it sing, if you can get all the pieces lined up, this can really just feel fantastic. I will say the upstairs downstairs expansion, it's the sort of only big expansion to the game right now, is almost essential. The extra things it adds add enough more flexibility so it's easier to get the servants. There's a couple of things you can kind of pick and choose to help you. If there's something that's not working right, you can use a tool. An easy to acquire tool will help you solve that problem. So anyway, that's the but. A couple of negatives, but what's my final rating? Well, I've already told you that I like this game a lot. I will say It is, for me, a 9 out of 10. Not a 10, not a perfect 10, but it's a game that ever since I rediscovered it, it's not left my mind. And when I first discovered it, I was just taken. I avoided it for a while because I wasn't interested in it, and then all of a sudden, it just took me by storm, and I really like this game. I think it's a game that everyone should try. Don't go out and buy it, right? It's kind of expensive, but try it out. And if you like it, well, then go out and buy it. I will also say it's available on Board Game Arena, which is a fantastic place to play it because it will keep track of all of the rules for you. There's a little bit of, do I have enough for this and this and this? And obviously it's a computer, so it won't let you make a mistake. Also, you can play it, try it out, and sort of experience the game mechanisms. It's a great way to learn. I think there's even a tutorial there. So absolutely try it out there. And then if you like it, try the physical copy. And then if you like it, go ahead and buy it. If you do buy it, be sure and dress up for a Victorian tea party at some point and play it, because fancy dress obsession is the way to go. That's kind of what I've got for you. I really enjoy this game. I really think that a lot of people are going to get a kick out of it. And like I say, it's my favorite obsession. And with that, I'm going to end things here. I'm going to bid you safe travels and courage when you need it. And I will hope to see you back next week for another episode of Wednesday Whimsy. Bye-bye.